Good afternoon. You're hearing the voice of Patricia Angelin, and you are at All the Feels. Today you are looking at a trio of exquisite roses from Essex Flowers, also known as Holly Flowers Wholesale, in the very building with the Alba Technique Studio. And if you want any kind of wholesale roses or anything beautiful made up, do ask for Billy. The rose on the top is called Shimmer, and the rose in the middle, the pink one, is a new hybrid, Billy tells me, called Blush. And the very deep fuchsia kind of pink one is called Pink Floyd for the band, and it smells divine. The blush one smells a little bit less, but it has a different smell. Not as assertive as Pink Floyd, but then the music of Pink Floyd band is pretty assertive too. So there we are. And underneath it, a little harder to see, is a little, what shall we call it? It's not a poster exactly, it's because it's a heavy cardboard, of a poem that I got at Trinity College when I was there in 2019. Let's focus on it there for you. And it's called Pangur Bán. And Pangur Bán was a little cat. Pangur Bán is the pet cat of a monk who was a hermit in probably the 800s, maybe even in the 700s. And the poem was originally in Old Irish, and I had to translate this poem when I was studying Old Irish these many years ago. So there we are, Pangur Bán. And since this is the week after St. Patrick's Day, and I am thinking about, and I am thinking about all things Irish, because I am talking to the National Opera House of Ireland, the Wexford Opera House, about coming to them again this year. Let me turn it around so you can talk to me directly and I can talk to you. And I'm looking forward to being able to be with them in their glorious festival room for our big 1 week intensive, 21st through 27th, yes, that is 21 through 27. That's a Thursday through a Wednesday night in July in 2022, this very year. So the poem for today is inspired by my thinking about Ireland, where, as you know, I went to school at Trinity College, University of Dublin, in Celtic and Irish languages. And also, I've been feeling quite low. This is all the feels. So I've been feeling quite low in energy, quite, how shall I say this? Because we've all been feeling anxious because we're in the post-pandemic, but it's a particular type of anxiety manifesting that has, been unusual to me. And it's been really, I feel an urgency. I feel as though everything is equally important and equally urgent, and I'm supposed to be doing all of these things that I am not managing to accomplish. Oh my goodness, it's very difficult. We must laugh at me a great deal. But I also know that I'm not the only one to be feeling things like this, which is why I bring it up. So there's just a lot of anxiety. There's financial anxiety. There's anxiety about the fate of the world and of war and of the Slavic countries and of Europe in general, and of the violence and hostility spreading. And, all of us, this is in us. We cannot help that. So it's all about how we deal with it right now. And so I came across Pangur Bán. And Pangur Bán, and I thought, oh my goodness, this was a monk who was dealing with his solitary life and his craft and what he is supposed to be doing in his life. And what he was supposed to be doing was reading the few books and creating beautiful books like the Book of Kells that he would be illuminating, painting the capital letters of while he's meditating and opening himself up to the divine and being very mindful of everything about him. And he has this little companion, because although people did go to see hermits, they lived most of their lives alone, often joining their fellow friars and sisters, often because in the Celtic world there were double monasteries where there were both women and there were men. And even there was an extension, sometimes there was a third part of the monastery where married lay people who were consecrated themselves to God, were rearing their families. So he would have not been so lonely necessarily, but he was leading a largely solitary life, a little bit removed from the community. And so he is contemplating in this poem, in the Old Irish, in the Irish of 2,000 years ago, what the craft is, what his job and what his craft and how he's doing that. And he's comparing that to the craft of his cat and what his cat is in the world to do and how well the cat does his job. So here we have Pangur Bán, as translated by Robin Flower. Pangur Bán. I and Pangur Bán, my cat. 'Tis a like task we are at. Hunting mice is his delight. Hunting words I sit all night. Better far than praise of men 'tis to sit with book and pen. Pangur bears me no ill will, he too plies his simple skill. 'Tis a merry thing to see, at our tasks how glad are we, when at home we sit and find entertainment to our mind. Oftentimes a mouse will stray in the hero Pangur's way. Oftentimes my keen thought set takes a meaning to its net. 'Gainst the wall he set his eye, full and fierce and sharp and sly. 'Gainst the wall of knowledge I all my little wisdom try. When a mouse darts from its den, oh, how glad is Pangur then! Oh, what gladness do I prove when I solve the doubts I love! So, in peace our tasks we ply, Pangur Bán, my cat, and I. In our arts we find our bliss. I have mine, and he has his. Practice every day has made Pangur perfect in his trade. I get wisdom day and night, turning darkness into light. That was Pangur Bán by an unknown author, as translated by Robin Flower. And it was making me think that we each work at our craft and become better and better craftswomen and craftsmen as we go through by practice. Particularly, we think about these things as artists because we often go for such long periods of time not getting any accolades from other people. It's why I think one of the reasons the internet is so pulling of people in, because we want, quote, the praise of men. To one degree or another, all of us do. We all need a few, as I like to say, atta-girls and atta-boys, and we often don't get them. Quite the reverse, in fact. So he was meditating upon the satisfactions of doing his craft, of illuminating manuscripts of the New or the Old Testament, thinking about problems of the mind and philosophy, and writing things and thinking of words, and how he is not really any different than his cat, who has the cat thing to do and does it incredibly well by practicing. So there we are, Pangur Bán. Thank you for being with me. I particularly thank Muir Anya Ní Harrington for tuning in. And as soon as this is over, this particular episode of All the Feels will be available on the YouTube page of Alba Technique. And bringing you back to the beautiful little Pangur Bán, which can be gotten at Trinity College in their bookshop. And the beautiful flowers and candle. The rose, the top rose is shimmer. The middle rose is blush. And the bottom rose is Pink Floyd for the band. So I leave you here. And for those of you who are tuning in late, my wonderful cousin Ted, thank you so much. You can hear the poem that I just read, translation from the Old Irish, at All the Feels on Alba Technique, the YouTube page. Thank you and bless you.